William the Lion, and has been so resonant of the history of Scotland.
There the bells of Westminster Abbey pealing out for us as we watch the King and Queen Consort preparing to descend.
The Garrison Sergeant Major, Mr. Stokes, about to give the quick march. And this vast coronation procession will start on its way to take the King from Westminster Abbey back to Buckingham Palace. And horses that have been waiting for some time, and soldiers who are yearning to get their arms swinging as they head on and lead the way back with the music, Coronation Bells.
Very excited about the Gold State coach. Last seen during the pageant of the Platinum Jubilee, as you will know, for Queen Elizabeth II in June of 2022. Those 6 greys that we saw on the way here are still part of the procession. This time, though, joined also by Meg and Newark, this coach being an extra ton heavier than the one on the way down.
Carriage indeed followed here with the other carriages of members of the royal family, including the Prince and Princess of Wales there with their 3 children. Prince George, who's done a marvellous job as one of the King's pages, and the King's carriage is surrounded by service people from all of the realms, of which he is now crowned as King. The bells of the Abbey ring out here in broad pavement, and a bit of reaction as the carriage joins this massive procession, weaving its way a mile long all the way from Westminster Abbey, and the front of it will almost certainly already be arriving close to the Queen Victoria Memorial. Prince Louis is very interested in everything that's going on out there, along with Princess Charlotte waving away. They're in the Australian state coach. And the flags there of the dependent territories. Most of them based on the blue ensign, the full use of the individual identities of the different nations who are part of the dependent territories of the United Kingdom.
Procession still passing by our gantry point here outside Westminster Abbey. As Alistair was saying, 1.4 miles long this procession. As it enters the gates of Buckingham Palace, they will still be passing the cenotaph. Dominic, he is going to be a king for the world, I suppose, is how they're trying to portray him as. He's going to be travelling the world, and main figures around the world coming back here as well to the United Kingdom.
Yeah, and I think there are parallels to be drawn, Kay, with his mother. And 70 years ago, she emerged from Westminster Abbey in similar weather, quite a damp, soggy day then as well. But it's what happened inside the Abbey that changed the monarchy for good. It was televised, that coronation, obviously, for the first time. And that began the launching of her as a global megastar, and she really was the first global megastar touring the world for months at a time, welcomed with rapturous welcomes in America and across the Commonwealth. Now, obviously, King Charles is not going to be able to hope for such receptions around the world, but he clearly is hoping for a similar role on the international stage, and already has been acting as a sort of diplomat-in-chief, ceremonially, if you like, for the government, and most recently inviting Joe Biden, the US President, here. Coming in the near future, we're told, not exactly sure when. Joe Biden hasn't come to the coronation, his wife coming instead. But King Charles has already had a successful trip to Germany, where he was welcomed with very large crowds, gave speeches in German, a trip that was seen very much as a big success. And obviously went there as his first trip, unexpectedly, was meant to be going to France, but the civil unrest in France meant that trip was cancelled by common French and British agreement. So off to Germany then. But I think he hopes to play a role on the world stage, not quite like his mother, but certainly following her footsteps.
Oh, look at the little one there. He's been as good as gold today as well. Not really the show stealer he was at the Golden Jubilee. 4,000 members of the military taking part in the procession back to Buckingham Palace, Alistair.
And it's led by the Brigade Major at the front of his retinue, and the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery with guns that fired earlier on to mark the fact that the King had been crowned. His chance to see those who have come out in this rather dismal weather to wish him and Queen Camilla well. There are 8 groups of this procession of 4,000 moving armed forces personnel from around the Commonwealth as well as the United Kingdom. We're watching there the Sovereign's escort, and second carriage will be Prince and Princess of Wales and their children. But the Royal Navy are the senior service, marching behind their King's colour, round past Trafalgar Square, where Nelson looks down. The Royal Navy, in which the King served for much of his service career. Commanding officer of HMS Bonington, minesweeper. And at the centre of the Royal Navy, before the Royal Marines come, band of His Majesty's Royal Marines. Music being played, the bond of friendship, and then Holyrood, and then the Great Little Army. All of it controlled by a central tick system. All the musicians are hearing the same clicking, and that's keeping everything to time. And you can see the first groups making their way almost up to the palace itself, and as they go past, some will go into the garden ready to salute the King, and some will move on to other places in London for the dismount. King's Troop setting off to the left, and mounted band of the Household Cavalry Mounted Regiment moving off down Constitution Hill.
And as they near the front of the procession, nears the entrance to Buckingham Palace. Still the bells are pealing here at Westminster Abbey. Within the last few moments we have seen Prince Harry leave in a vehicle with Prince Andrew in a vehicle just behind him. There have been some speculation whether Harry would be in the procession. That was not to be. He is heading back to Los Angeles, we believe, before too long. It is, of course, his son Archie's 4th birthday today. Some speculation he came in yesterday, stayed at Frogmore Cottage last night, and will head back to the airport within the next few minutes. A 12-hour flight back to the west coast of the United States and back to the arms of his family. He has been invited to the lunch at Buckingham Palace. I did ask the palace whether he'd accepted that invitation. They declined to offer a view on that, Alistair.
The Household Division troops marching round towards Admiralty Arch, where this stream of red will divide into 3 groups to get through the 3 separate arches. Here, the Coldstream Guards, and behind the Life Guards. And the King's Bodyguards, the Honourable Corps of Gentlemen at Arms, the Royal Company of Archers, and the Yeomen of the Guard. And it's a great view up there as they march with their colours. And the State Royal Standard, really now with this weather opening out over the palace. The Commonwealth representatives, Group 2, which is led by the band of the Royal Regiment of Scotland, Highland Band of the Royal Regiment, and also the Lowland Band. Service people from Antigua, Barbuda, Malaysia, Australia, the Maldives, Bahamas, Malta, Bangladesh, New Zealand, Barbados, Pakistan, Belize, Papua New Guinea, Brunei Darussalam, Rwanda, Cameroon, St Kitts and Nevis, Canada, Seychelles, Eswatini, Sierra Leone, Fiji, Sri Lanka, Gabon, Tanzania. for the King and Queen looking down the Mall and seeing this extraordinary number of people, and now the first part of the fly past approaches. There will be 6 waves. There will be no fixed wing aircraft due to the conditions. The first wave will be 3 Juno HT-1 helicopters making their way towards a salute to His Majesty the King. And the second wave, a Wildcat helicopter, flanked by 2 Merlin Mark II helicopters. Wave 3 and Wave 4. A Wildcat helicopter Mark 1 with 2 Merlin Mark IV helicopters. After the salute in the garden, the salute from the sky, and the salute from the people who've gathered here before Buckingham Palace, a huge assembly of people from all over the world and from across the United Kingdom who are really enjoying this, and look down the Mall. The national anthem over, the King and Queen waving goodbye as they will now leave the balcony. They've got either side of them the pages of honour who carried the trains of both the King and the Queen. Family members all watching and enjoying this amazing sight. Family returning into the centre room, as it's named. And the pages have got a very big job making sure the trains are not trodden on and are lifted. And most of the front of the palace is a building site inside, so there's been a special route made through for the King to return, to have lunch, and there are photographs. And for him, that's the last we will see of the King and Queen